to talk about something else which is happening in the world, which has global ramifications that is not being spoken about hardly at all in the mainstream media. In fact, I haven't seen one report about this at all anywhere. We are now in a new era. You've woken up this morning in a new era. You probably don't even realize it because there's been nothing said and no effects have yet taken place, although we've seen things happening which are related to the new era that we're in. What I'm talking about is the 50-year era of the petrodollar is over. Let me explain. On the 6th of June, 1974, the United States and Saudi Arabia made a 50-year deal. And the deal was the United States would supply Saudi Arabia with security and build up their military, build up their infrastructure. And in return, the Saudis would only sell oil in dollars. So that was fine for the United States. But any other country around the world who wanted to buy oil from Saudi Arabia had to purchase it in dollars. So China or India or Kenya or Nigeria wanted to purchase oil from Saudi Arabia. They had to get dollars first and then buy the oil from Saudi Arabia in dollars. Now that arrangement came to an end on the 9th of June 2024. So at the time of me making this video, that's yesterday. So the petrodollar is over. What we've known all of our lives, the bulwark of what has shored up Western currencies, the United States economy, the dollar, has gone. And now Saudi Arabia has decided not to renew the agreement.
The BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, commonly known as the Central Bank for Central Banks, has been working closely with the BRICS bloc coalition, specifically China, to launch a new central bank digital currency CBDC platform. This platform is dubbed Project M-Bridge. And while it's been in the works for a while, this week there was a new release that caught my attention. Not only because the platform's viable, but because they accepted a 5th full-time member. That member is no one other than Saudi Arabia. Now, the reason why this is so important and so concerning to the US dollar is because Saudi Arabia is, of course, part of OPEC, the oil-producing countries. And Saudi Arabia, in particular, is key to the United States' dominance as having the global reserve currency. What I mean by that is, in 1972, when the United States dollar was delinked from gold, there was an agreement made in the following years that all oil would be priced in USD. Because of this agreement, there is always demand for US dollars because all oil is priced in US dollars. Now, some countries have moved away from this, such as Russia or Iran pricing in different currencies, but ultimately the effect of that has still been minimal. But should a country like Saudi Arabia start pricing their oil in a different currency, say the Chinese yuan, well, now we have a huge problem on our hands because the United States dollar will not be in as high of demand.
Shalom. I want to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakah Kwadash. I also want to give double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the 144,000, the rest of the elect. I'm the brother Yawanathan, back with another quick lesson, Lord willing, is edifying. And we are entering into a new era of economy, all right, because this deal expiring and Saudi Arabia joining forces with other nations, such as China and Russia, as far as economically, that's the death of the dollar, all right? This is the death of the United States dollar that we're seeing. De-dollarization, devaluing of the currency, along with inflation, etc., etc. All these things are damaging blows to the American economy. And this is what's going to basically make the dollar obsolete in the near future, all right? The USD, which is also known as the petrodollar. All right, because basically without it being backed by oil, it really has no value. All right, and all the other nations that are ditching the dollar, such as the BRICS nations, they could see that. They could see that there's no more value in the petrodollar anymore. All right, so what's the new era that we coming into? Paper money, or especially the United States dollar, becoming obsolete. All right, becoming completely devalued to the point where you can't even use it. And then the central banks bringing in their digital currency. All right, because that's really the end all be all, or the end goal of this global economic collapse that we're seeing happening. It's a staged collapse. All right, it's not a real collapse. And all these problems, you know, inflation and stagflation and all these different things, the interest rates, that all those problems could be easily fixed by the central bankers. All right, especially here in America, they call the Federal Reserve. They could easily fix all of these things, but they're not going to, because one, it's not prophecy, and two, they have an agenda to bring digital economy. All right, so this is a necessary step in establishing a global digital economy. All right, to bring out the CBDC. This is a necessary step. You can't have people still willing or wanting to use the dollar or physical paper money while digital currency is there, because people are gonna always opt for using money. All right, paper money. Why? Because it's less, more private, you know, it's less riskier and things like that. But see, they want to do away with this. They're doing away with this system. So this is Jeremiah 51 verse 7. It says, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. What's Babylon? It's talking about America, the USA. All right, Babylon the Great, according to Bible prophecy. This place had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand because the Lord used America to basically get all the other nations rich. And not only rich, because obviously through this OPEC deal, Saudi Arabia became very wealthy. All right, because everybody who's coming to them to buy oil, they coming with United States dollar. And at that time, the dollar was actually very strong. All right, America's economy was pretty strong, being that they just took it off of the gold standard and signed the OPEC deal. So they made it basically, essentially, they took the dollar that was backed by gold, they removed the gold backing off of it and replaced it with oil, which we know is a natural resource that is pretty much unlimited. So in essence, really that shouldn't have made the dollar any more valuable, because you backing it by something that's very common. Yes, it does take money to frack the earth and extract the oil out and barrel it up and move it around. Yeah, but it's something that's basically, how can you say it? It's not expendable. You know, the earth is always producing more oil. But nevertheless, that was how the American dollar became what it was, basically. That's how America, and along with them Middle Eastern countries like Saudi Arabia, that's how they all got rich like that. You know, that's how the wealth of these nations increased. It was really through the OPEC deal, man, through the petrodollar. And now that's their same downfall, all right? Because now nobody really wants to use and trade with the petrodollar anymore, man. China's not doing it. You know, they showed numbers on how back in, I forget how long ago it was, a couple years back, maybe a decade or so, China was they was only using about, I think it was 0.3 of their own currency for trade. Well, now they're using like 48%. So they're straying away from the dollar. A lot of people, a lot of nations are straying away from the dollar, which is weakening the dollar, is making people lose faith in the dollar, because it is a fiat currency that's backed, ultimately is really backed by nothing. All right, but the petrodollar was the only thing that really gave it some type of substance. You know, it gave it relevance and power. And the other nations, they got drunk off of that. All right, they joined force with America. They adopted philosophies. That's really what the drunkenness is talking about. It's talking about the democracy and, you know, the philosophies, ideology that America pushes on the world, the LGBTQ thing, feminism, etc. All the other nations, they also adopted these ways, all right, as making money deals with America. They didn't just only make economic deals. They also cultural, well, how you call it? Cultural assimilation. So you see people in China and Japan, and they dress like so-called white men here in America. And why is that? Because America is Babylon, and these nations are drinking of the wine of her fornication. All right, Revelation, the 18th chapter, which represents what? Once again, they adopting the cultures of America, the ideology, the mentality, how they think, how they do things, how they operate. Okay, the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. All right, so these people all over the world, we talking about any nation of people that is especially close with America, there is complete confusion and madness going on within these nations. All right, their people are suffering, just like the scriptures say, when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. All right, people are suffering, people are dying, you got famine and poverty stricken all over the world because of the so-called white man who's Esau Edom in America, because that's his enterprise, Babylon the Great, because they rule the world, right? And they got everybody following them in their ways, which their ways are the ways of death. Wickedness is contrary to the Holy Bible. All right, the so-called white man doesn't rule in righteousness, man. So therefore, the people are mourning. The people, they just going along with it because they really don't have a choice. And they confused and mad. They don't know why, what they're going through. They don't know why they're going through that. And they don't know how to fix it. Because ultimately, only the so-called white man could fix it, because it's his problem. And how is he going to fix it? By issuing central bank digital currency in all these nations, man. All right, so a great economic collapse is necessary. The death of the dollar is necessary so they can bring in that solution of digital currency. All right, and all the nations are already down with it, man. They already got 190 something nations, if I'm not mistaken, that's down with the CBDC. All right, out of 198 or something like that, I think it's like 194. You know, my numbers may be a little off, but give or take some, pretty much everybody's down with this agenda. All right, so just 1 second, Salak here. So this is what's going to happen next, man. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. All right, so that sudden fall and that destruction ultimately comes through Jacob's trouble, you know, and the Most High basically plaguing America with the economy crashing, actual plagues, pestilence, you know, disease outbreak, famine, civil unrest, sedition, insurrection, etc. That's how this place is going to go down. All right, because when you go into the store and you can't afford basic, essential, you know, needs for your life, yeah, people are going to go out there and riot. People are going to go out there and steal from one another. The scriptures tell you about these things, man. But there's a sudden destruction that's coming to this place. And it really begins when the economy basically collapses, man. Once the US dollar loses all steam, this is what the scripture here is really talking about. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. What is it talking about? That economic moment. All right, because this is the depth of America is impossible to pay back. All right, they said it's something like $260 trillion. 270 trillion. That's the actual debt that America owes to the central bankers. So you think anybody could ever really realistically pay that back? Nah, man. They're covered with thick clay by now already. When it tells you that in Habakkuk 2:5, it says thick clay. In the Hebrew is ibatyat, which means heavy debt. All right, so this place has a burden that it can't fix. America has a problem that it can't fix, and that's an economic problem. Okay, that's the wound that Babylon is wounded with, that can't be healed. But she is not healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. So these other nations, they're pretty much banding together. You know, they don't want to deal with America no more. They don't want to deal with the dollar. They don't want to make deals. They actually want to go to war with this place, man. All right, so America is being forsaken. The dollar is being ditched. It has a name. It's called de-dollarization. It's called devaluing of the currency. It's called the death of the dollar. All right, all these things are happening. You check the news. Of course, it's not. I didn't see this on the mainstream. This June 9th deal, the Opec deal ending, the 50-year contract. I didn't see that on any mainstream news. I saw that through alternative news media on YouTube. All right, so nobody's really talking about this, but when it becomes your reality, when it's right in your face, that's when people are going to want to talk about it, and it's going to be too late. All right, it's going to be too late, and there's really nothing you could do. You can get gold and silver. That's a great investment option in a time like this, but that's not going to save you. All right, that still won't save you. Let me get Ezekiel. What is that? Silver and gold. Let me get it real quick. My phone is on 3%. About to close it out with this. I know it's in the book of Ezekiel. Just bear with me 1 second. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse 19. It says, they shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of the wrath of the Lord. So, you know, silver and gold is actually real money. All right, that's actual wealth. Paper money is not money. Paper money is nothing but debt. I'm talking about specifically the United States dollar. That's not actual riches. That's not real money. All right, but in this world, in today's age, that's what people deem as money. That's what people use as money, because it's a fiat currency. So that means that people have faith, and as long as people are down with the system and they continue to use paper money, it will remain the standard of currency. All right, but it tells you here that people are going to be casting their money or their silver and their gold in the street. All right, so even within that, even within you investing in gold and silver, that's not going to deliver you in the day of the wrath of the Lord. All right, so in the day when there's plagues out here, and pestilence and earthquakes and famine and all these things that the scriptures forewarn us about, the prophecies, gold and silver won't even really do you any good, man. All right, Yahweh Shimei has to just be with you. That's the only way that a man who's an Israelite could be delivered from this day. You see? So that means that people, they're not going to see no value in gold and silver and in money, because there's going to be so much hell going on. What good is money for you? All right, when all hell is breaking loose, when the government is shut down, there's martial law out here. And eventually what they want to do anyways is implement the CBDC so they could bring forth that chip. All right, the microchip implant, the mark of the beast. You see, so, you know, we right here at the door, man. It says, they shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. So, right, everybody was chasing the bag, right? Everybody thought they had a way out of this economic collapse by investing in gold and silver, but none of those things are really going to deliver you, and they're not going to be able to fill your belly when famine hits. All right, so that's why I said the stumbling block of their iniquity. Look at all the things that people do for money, man. Gold, worship money, worship silver and gold, and idolize it and give their life for it, all for naught. Right? They're going to just snatch the rug from right under your feet. All right, they're going to issue central bank digital currency, and that's going to be based on a UBI, type of system, a universal basic income type of system. So they just gonna give you whatever they see fit for you for the month, and you can't go over no spending limits, and you can't buy whatever you want to buy. You can't do whatever you want to do with your money. All right, with your digital currency, your digital tokens. It's programmable money. You see, so yeah, like I said earlier, man, we at the door. You know, this thing is here, and today we entering into a new era. All right, the death of the dollar is really here, man. All right, it really is here, and this thing is only going to go downhill from here on out until they issue that central bank digital currency, and that's going to be by way of some type of black swan event. You know, all hell basically breaking loose, man. Total economic meltdown, and people can't afford to eat. They're going to be killing each other for food, man. They're going to introduce this thing as some type of solution to the problem that they actually created. You know, because like I said, they could easily reverse all of this, you know, de-dollarization and devaluing of the money, all this inflation. All they got to do is fix the interest rates up, and boom, you know, the problem is solved. But that's not the problem, and that's not the solution. All right, the solution is bringing a CBDC. The problem is that money is not trackable. All right, that's their issue, anyways. That's, you know, this is the solution for their problems. Bringing in a digital currency and a microchip to tag you with, so you could be tracked, everything you do. You know, all your buying and selling tracked on a database, on a blockchain database. You see, it's a digital prison. That's basically what this is, man. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom.